my son's wheelhouse. I am in everybody's wheelhouse. Anyway, what happens when you reread these things is like, one of the things that's cool about it is you see these little fragments that turned into entire, 3 years of my life or something like that. You see the moment when I came up with the idea, when I started writing down the ideas for this and that, and see the directions they go. And so that's actually just energizing me, like, hey, this idea that I'm just writing down.
They're literally like a sentence.
Yeah.
Now, after you've read it several times, are there any ideas where you're like, no, this is still bad?
Yeah, well, there definitely are ideas where you're like, I think that was on the fourth class of law. But no, they do, because I think that's the thing about it is that you just don't know. The idea that seemed kind of crazy. Look, think about it outside in. The joke we used to have, we built the entire working initial site for, I think, total, when we launched the beta in the fall, in October, the total cost of building the thing was $150,000. And maybe even less. And if we had tried to do it 2 years before, literally 2 years before, it would have cost $30 million because we didn't have the maps API. So we would have had to have built an entire geographic system with mapping and all that kind of stuff that Google just was giving away for free, and we wouldn't have had the local bloggers really at that point, so we would have had to hire people to kind of create local content and all that stuff. So whenever an idea, I actually thought a lot about it. I wrote a column for Discover in 2002 about the GeoWeb basically, and it's like people are going to be walking around and they're going to tag things geographically and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really think about doing it because it was going to be way too expensive, And then, so you never know what idea is going to suddenly get relevant with some piece of it, or you'll come back to it. So I do try and keep everything there, but there are some that I feel pretty confident will never do another day. Actually, somebody put on who's Cody? What's this Commons thing that he has? Somebody put on Commons almost as a dare, Stephen Johnson talks about this file that he has. I'd like to see his notes for when he came up with the idea for where good ideas come from. What did it look like? And it was almost a little bit I don't actually really believe that he does it. I happened to see it because it came into Twitter, and it said an out reply at Twitter. And so I went and I posted the whole opening when I figured out the patterns and structure and a couple other snippets for it. And it was fun to actually go back and see it in that kind of form and then to kind of make it public.
Steven?
Yes.
Hey, wow, it works.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You're just a voice on a blank screen session.
Trust me, you don't want to see me. Go back to the comment you wrote about markets and some of the ideas you had mentioned about trying to find ways of rewarding things which they don't seem to be good market related incentives. It seems like in a real and potentially troubling way, the term
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I take that pretty seriously. I didn't mean to be too quick at this. For those of you who can hear, it's basically saying that there's a danger in kind of ascribing all innovation to markets, when a lot of innovation happens outside of markets. I think one way to think about the history of innovation is to say that the biggest driving force had really been trade more than markets. And that contact between people with different specialties, sharing their ideas and swapping the goods that they created. The fact that there were economic rewards that kind of emerged out of that was fine, but it was actually the exchange of ideas and expertise that really kind of drove the rising standards of living and progress in a lot of ways. So the internet way that I like to describe this, and I feel really weird because I'm just talking to a computer here and a room full of people, is the internet way. There's this kind of
just talk to the room full of people.
Okay, right. The kind of the slogan that people use, or the jargon that people use about the internet is that what made the net different is that it put all the kind of authority and power at the edges of the network, right? It didn't have a kind of centralized core, and that meant that you didn't need approval to do things from some centralized kind of authority of some kind. And because the power was at the edges of the network, interesting things could happen, innovative new uses could happen, all this kind of stuff. And so I think that's maybe where I'm headed. Is like the political values that I'm trying to figure out a way to kind of describe are in favor of whenever we can distribute choice and control to the edges of a network, that's great. If it's an environment where the market is doing a really good job, what's good about the market is that there are lots of people in the network, there are lots of different firms. That's the reason why we don't like big monopolies, is because it centralizes control. The edges don't get to have a say. If it's an environment where the market is failing and we need a better solution, we just need to set up something where there's a network where power is at the edges, where those kind of solutions can come up and can be created, and they aren't coming from some big government central bureaucracy as well.